In 1994, one man dominated Hollywood with 3 blockbuster films and became the highest-paid actor alive. That man was Jim Carrey. To the world, he was a force of unstoppable energy, rubber-faced comedy, and fearless performance. But beneath the laughter lived a quieter struggle, one that fame could not silence. When the cameras stopped rolling and the applause faded, a deeper question lingered. Who was he without the performance? To understand how he reached that point, you have to go back to where it all began, long before the spotlight, when survival, not success, shaped the performer. A childhood rooted in quiet struggle. Jim Carrey was born on January 17th, 1962, in Newmarket, Ontario, into a family that valued dignity despite limited means. His father, Percy, was a gentleman who balanced dreams of music with the practical demands of providing for his family. For a time, he managed both. At home, laughter was abundant, and Percy's natural comedic talent left a lasting impression on young Jim. That household, though modest, was rich in spirit. It was here that Jim first witnessed the power of humor, not as entertainment, but as connection, resilience, and a way to momentarily escape reality. The collapse that changed everything. When Jim was 12, his father lost his job as an accountant due to corporate restructuring. The stability the family relied on disappeared overnight. What followed was not a slow decline, but an immediate fall into hardship. They sold possessions, packed their lives into a Volkswagen camper van, and moved onto a relative's property. For Jim, the emotional weight of this shift was immense. School became a place of quiet humiliation. While others lived ordinary lives, he carried the knowledge of his family's situation everywhere, learning early that laughter could shield him from judgment and hide his vulnerability. Humor as armor. Faced with insecurity and shame, Jim turned to humor as a defense mechanism. He developed a simple but powerful strategy. Make people laugh before they laugh at you. Comedy became his armor, his identity, and his escape. It allowed him to control how others perceived him, transforming potential ridicule into admiration. But beneath the jokes was a deeper need for acceptance, for stability, and for relief from the pressures he could not articulate. This early reliance on performance would later define his career, but it also planted the seeds of a lifelong internal conflict between authenticity and expectation. Adulthood cut short. By the age of 14, Jim was working 8-hour shifts at a factory after school to help support his family. The environment was harsh and the responsibility was overwhelming for someone so young. His childhood disappeared under the weight of survival. Exhaustion became routine, and dreams felt distant. Yet, even in those difficult conditions, the idea of something greater persisted. Jim carried a belief, almost irrational in its intensity, that he was meant for more than the factory floor. That belief became his anchor, keeping him moving forward despite circumstances that could have easily broken his spirit. Performing for survival at home. At home, Jim faced another challenge. His mother struggled with chronic illness and depression, creating an atmosphere heavy with emotional strain. Determined to bring light into that darkness, Jim made himself her personal entertainer. He performed tirelessly, using physical comedy and exaggerated expressions to make her smile. Her laughter became his reward, a confirmation that he could create joy even in the bleakest moments. This dynamic shaped his understanding of comedy, not just as entertainment, but as a tool for healing. It also reinforced a pattern of seeking validation through performance, often at his own expense. Leaving school behind. At 16, Jim dropped out of high school, not out of rebellion, but necessity. The demands of work and family left no room for education. He stood at a crossroads with limited options and an uncertain future. Yet his father never stopped believing in him. Percy encouraged Jim to pursue comedy, driving him to clubs, and supporting him through repeated failures. Those early performances were often disastrous. Audiences were indifferent or hostile. Still, Percy's unwavering faith provided something invaluable: permission to keep going. That support became the foundation upon which Jim would build his future success. The leap to Los Angeles. In 1979, Jim arrived in Los Angeles with little more than $17 and an unshakable belief in his potential. The city did not welcome him, it ignored him. He faced rejection at every turn, performing in small venues, struggling to make ends meet, and often sleeping in his car. Despite the hardships, he developed a practice that would later define his mindset. He wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered and dated it years into the future. It wasn't just a dream, it was a declaration, a tangible reminder of what he intended to achieve. The breakthrough and explosion. Jim's persistence eventually paid off when he joined the sketch comedy show In Living Color in 1990. This platform allowed his unique style to flourish. His characters were bold, unpredictable, and physically intense. Audiences couldn't look away. Hollywood took notice, and by 1994, everything changed. With the release of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, Jim became a global superstar almost overnight. The success was unprecedented. He achieved everything he had visualized and more. Yet, behind the scenes, the rapid ascent brought pressures and expectations that would challenge his sense of self. Fame, identity, and inner conflict. Despite achieving extraordinary success, Jim began to feel a growing disconnect between his public persona and his private identity. The world saw a comedic genius, but he struggled to understand who he was beyond the roles he played. Fame amplified everything, both the highs and the lows. The validation he once sought through laughter became insufficient. He began to question the very foundation of his identity. Was he the characters he portrayed, or something separate entirely? This internal conflict marked the beginning of a deeper journey, one that would lead him to explore philosophy, spirituality, and the nature of self. Conclusion. Beyond the performance. Jim Carrey's story is not just about fame or success. It is about the cost of becoming what the world expects while searching for who you truly are. From a childhood shaped by hardship to a career defined by extraordinary achievement, his journey reveals the complexity behind the laughter. In the end, his greatest realization was not about success, but authenticity. The most meaningful transformation came when he stopped performing for approval and began to understand himself beyond the roles. His story reminds us that true fulfillment is not found in applause, but in the quiet moments where we no longer need it.